Metro County Board of Supervisors to order. We have an agenda before us. I'll ask if there's any additions, changes, corrections. If not,
three items. Got a call yesterday afternoon from the new hospital CEO, and he'd like to come in this morning and briefly address the board. And I said I think we could make arrangement for him around 9 o'clock. Item D, under items and note, cans for conservation, got a check, just like to show it to you. And item E, apparently there's a letter to the editor in the paper tomorrow we'd like to discuss.
okay.
So how do you get letters early on the paper?
Well, I can't tell you.
Okay.
Just understood that there's going to be one.
Is that your motion?
Pardon?
Is that your motion?
I can move. I hardly ever move these, but I'll move this.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Item 2, approve report, or sheriff report for June.
See, your guest list has been rather small in June. Is that continuing?
There's 2 in there this morning, I think.
Going over this jail account here, it says uncleared transactions, and it seems like we have a lot, you must write a lot of checks for 38 cents and 85 cents, and these people do not cash them. Is that what that's saying?
I think so.
What happens to the money? Why don't you just give them back the cash? They didn't give you a check.
We deposit the cash.
Then why wouldn't you just give them back the cash? I mean, if it's under $5 or $10, I mean, who's gonna go to a bank after they got out of jail and cash a check for 35 cents?
Probably nobody.
Well, so then where does this money end up? It just stays in your account, right?
It should, yeah. But if you like, I'll talk to Rose about that.
Well, I'm just thinking, you know, it's bad enough. I suppose they feel pretty bad now. They just got out of jail, so now they just gave me, and some of these checks are little, 12 cents.
Yeah, it just makes a trail, that's all it does.
Okay, but it's so little, I just thought maybe it'd just be give them their 25 cents back and send them on their way. I mean, well, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know exactly what.
No, I'd make them sign a receipt because then
Well,
they can't say they didn't get
Don't
their
they, when
money
you
back.
book them in, they have to sign what they've left in whatever their bag is, right? You know, and if there's 22 quarters, well, you know,
Yeah, you'd think at a certain level,
well,
I
there's
mean,
72 of them. They're outstanding yet, and they go back as far as audits to last year or something. I don't know, and maybe.
Yeah, they'll never cash them.
Well,
Right threw them away.
well, it's more book work than it is, it's more book work in that than it is
well, it costs you
work.
something to write the check, doesn't it?
I don't think so.
Oh, you can only get free checking, okay. Well, anyway, I just looking at that, but anyway, I decided, well, I mean, other than that, I don't have anything, I just make a motion to approve the sheriff's report.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the sheriff's report for the month of June 2012. Roll call vote, Volklander.
Aye.
Watt.
Aye.
Morrell. Aye. Motion carried.
Those days when
Thank you, gentlemen.
we don't have anybody in jail, what are they, what's the jailer doing?
They're cleaning. Mostly cleaning. We're pretty much caught up on the cleaning, but there's some more of that to do. There's some old files that they're dealing with. They don't spend much time sitting around. Mostly they're playing catch up on things that they couldn't do before. Thank you.
Yep.
You bet.
Thanks, gentlemen. 121.09. Check for 85 cents hasn't been cashed yet. And there's one in here that is like, there's one for 8 cents. 30 or 10. I would
You'd think you could have a petty cash fund, like you say, that anything under $2 or $3 or some level could be paid out in. Maybe that's something we have to talk to the auditor about, I mean, or, how they'd like to see it handled.
Paper trail.
well, that's probably true too, but couldn't they sign the receipt?
Yeah,
They
they
could
could
just
show
have
something.
receipts to their, just say have a trade. Okay, item number 3 is approval of the minutes from July 10th. Are we moving 3 tanks or 2? That's the only thing I could see. Moving LP tanks, for 3 of them? Were there 3?
There's 3
If
on
there's
there.
3 of them in there, we should be.
Okay, I couldn't remember if there were 2 or 3.
Actually, when Richie comes in, we should even talk about starting to get at least 1 tank out there and ready to hook up and,
Oh, yeah.
Set it to one side or the other, because if we're gonna set those 3 tanks on a pad, then then whoever comes in hooks them all up, we'll just move them all at one time, maybe or something. But she
We're
called
gonna
it.
have to figure out where they're gonna
They're
go.
down to 7%, she's nervous.
well, 7% in that big tank. I mean, and I realize there's cooking, but
Probably
that'll
500
go a
gallons.
long ways
Hot
yet.
water, though, it's been.
The hot water too, yeah.
But still, I mean, but yeah, if they would pour that pad and like you say, you have 1 sitting there that they're ready to,
Well, I thought
whenever.
about getting hold of the SK folks that did the concrete work around here, you know, I mean, I don't know who else. That's,
Yeah, we should figure out where to locate them
Well,
out there.
secondary roads actually has poured different patches on our roads. Could they?
have you seen them? Like they troweled it with a scoop shovel and used the garden rake.
Okay.
Not too smooth, huh?
Well, maybe they do it for a reason, though, on the road surface. I don't know.
Adding rumble strip. I should pick out of mine, but. Anyway, I'd make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the minutes of July 10, 2012. Roll call vote, Wolflander.
Aye.
Buck.
Aye.
Morale, aye. Motion carried. We'll move down, item blah, 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 7. Approval of treasurer's semi-annual report.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the treasurer's semi-annual report. Roll call vote, Walk.
Aye.
Wolflander.
Aye.
Morale, aye. Motion carried. Item number 8, Upper Cedar Watershed Management Authority 2080 agreement. Do we have anything to discuss there since the?
Yeah, I think it might be prudent for us to actually hire Carl Solomon to come up with the 28E, just because this group eventually is going to have access to hundreds of thousands of dollars, it looks like. And basically, the most land of any one county in this upper watershed is Mitchell County, and I think there could be a lot of benefits to landowners, farmers, recreation people and that in Mitchell County, and so I really hate to see the ball dropped on this.
Right.
And so instead of hoping that something would happen with the 2080 agreement, I think we ought to see what Carl at least would charge us to draft up, and hopefully we could get that ball rolling.
Yeah, I agree with you. We had some emails that people feel that we should be in it.
Would you want to?
Right here is, everything that he said is wrong with it.
Well, but I mean, still, somebody's going to have to draft up, and then he's going to have to review it, you know, again. Maybe we're better off to have him, pardon?
I think the Upper Cedar River watershed should pay for that.
Well,
It's not Mitchell County's problem.
but we're going to be the ones that could lose the money. I realize where
We
you're
haven't,
coming from.
we haven't even heard Stan what they're planning to do. We have heard so little about this Upper Cedar River management that, I mean, Carl already identified all the problems with the 2080, and they just said, oh, okay, we'll go on without you. I don't think that's,
But the problems came up at the very end. There wasn't time to, I mean, when Carl had his written, I mean, there was about 10 days before this thing had to be submitted in order to,
I went through that whole final draft, and that was draft number 4, I believe it was, last night. And they've been working on those since way back last fall. And then all of a sudden, 11 hour, they want everybody to sign on to this. I just can't see doing it until if there's problems with that 2080, then I believe that that entity or whatever it is should actually address those.
but then Carl's gonna review the whole thing again, and then
Why
if
would
he
he?
said, pardon?
I mean, he's already told them what the problems are.
Well, yeah, but you're gonna have Carl review it again once they draft a new 2080, and then Carl's gonna go through the whole thing. Why not just have Carl draft the 2080?
He's there Thursday, I'll talk to him about it. And ask him what type
You'll
of.
see him on Thursday.
Well, yeah, I'm sure he'll get that.
No, that'd be fine.
Okay.
See what it would, like I say, because I'd hate to lose out on that type of money and be not part of the
What money? Where's the money coming from?
state of Iowa feds.
I heard they didn't have any.
Well, apparently they got money for this. I mean, this group would still have to apply for it, but there's a big pot of money out there that's trying to work on flood control. Senator Hogg is one that, or Hogue, or whatever, is one that's, really been pushing this from Cedar Rapids. And
Well, what I'd hate to see is all the money going to Cedar Rapids or Floyd County, and yet we're the biggest watershed in the area. I mean, in that Cedar River watershed.
I don't know if there's gonna be any control, it should be up here, because that's where we're putting in most of the water, apparently.
But how many berms or dikes and crap we're gonna build downstream? And then we will be responsible for paying for those. Our name's on the 2080, just like Carl said, there's not enough separation there. And then it was like between Floyd County, I forgot to bring it, between Floyd County and other entities. Well, who are the other entities,
well, the other entities were all of that
Do
whole
you
list.
think they should be named in the 2080? I mean, so anyway, I'll talk to him first. See what
Okay.
we can do.
Why don't we put that on then for next week again?
Now approve the Carpenter Barbecue Bash request.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the request for the Carpenter Barbecue Bash. Roll call vote, Walk.
Aye.
Vote Planner.
Aye.
Morrell, aye. Motion carried. Well, it is 8:45. On the agenda, item 4, we have a public hearing on proposed new confinement feeding operation for Anderson Finisher Farm in section 14 of Jenkins Township. Supervisors, any comments, written or oral?
I had no written or oral comments. I did go on the site survey last Thursday, 10 o'clock, and I would report that no negative comments.
Haven't had any, Bob.
I have one here. That was submitted by Penny Morris this morning. Says, I would like to submit a comment about the hog confinement permit for James Koenigs in Jenkins County. I'm referencing the article in the 7/14/2012 Globe Gazette about the EPA failing to monitor livestock. In light of the information in this article, I think there should be a hold on all new CAFO permits until the EPA has completed their investigation. Signed, Penny Morris. Lowell, you have any?
No, I didn't.
We can open this up, public, or public hearing, if there's any comments from the public.
I guess I'd just state that it was always a concern of mine too on the manure management part, you know, I mean, if you look at all these permits, are they saying in all of, I don't know how carefully every permit is perused, but are they putting the same plot of land for manure distribution on each of their reports, or have they got enough farmland and enough people, you know, that they can distribute it evenly? And I don't know how it's monitored. I'm afraid that because there's not the help that there used to be, that probably, you know, they aren't getting monitored very closely.
Right, they're not. There's no,
Yeah.
there's no supervision, there's no oversight, there's no,
I remember many years ago, and, you know, this manure was put on the land when the ground was still frozen, and I had a report from somebody, and it was downstream quite a bit. Well, actually, I mean, it had run over the top into a stream that it ended up a couple miles further down, and I got a call from these people, and they said, well, so-and-so put manure on in the winter, you know, I mean, the ground was still frozen, it was in the spring, and it ended up down at their place. So, you know, I think it is a great problem that with all these confinement places.
they built 4 new ones within a mile of my house in the last year. It gets to be quite an odor issue anymore.
It isn't pleasant, is it, to live?
No, it isn't.
Okay.
It really isn't anymore. If they control the odor, I wouldn't have any complaints, but
Well, and I guess I'm concerned, in some areas, people draw their water from a very, you know, shallow water supply. And, you know, what happens with all this, the nitrates and so on, you know, I just...
yeah, I just wonder, you know, is my well going to go dry next? There's a lot, they're pumping a lot of water because there's already, I think, three confinements within a mile of my place already, so now there's 7.
You know, what, as the law reads now, what exactly can you do to prohibit, you know?
Simply nothing.
Yeah,
Basically
and
nothing.
outside of if you hired somebody yourselves to monitor, and that's the place of the state to be monitoring, isn't it? I mean, the EPA.
Well, even there, all we can do is turn the complaints into the state. I mean, we can't,
Well, I
Yeah,
see
we
in the
have no-
paper the other day, someone, EPA's suing the state of Iowa or something like that, because they're not controlling the water and the air and the,
Joel, that's right here.
yeah, right, yeah. I read that too. So
That's,
I wonder how far that'll go.
I don't know. That's why I said I thought you could at least put a hold on it until, see what happens with this EPA investigation into the state before you approve more. So they said they'd come up with a solution in 60 days or something, so I think at the very least, the county could at least say, well, we're just going to hold off on it based on this
I don't
EPA
think,
report.
Penny, I don't think we can actually do that. I think we have to make a report to the state one way or the other.
We can send it in with your comments.
Yeah, we
And
just send
that's-
that
Well,
in, but
Yeah,
I mean, you could say we would, you could make a request to the state to delay approval until the EPA gets done investigating. And the state will get back to you whether or not you can do it or not. I mean, it's not saying you're denying it, just saying, based on this EPA report, maybe you should hold off until the EPA has come up with a solution.
It's kind of interesting that more and more hog confinements are going in with the crops right now, this year, with, you know, the price of corn probably, and whether we'll have any, and, you know.
yeah, it's going to affect the price of everything, you
Yeah.
know, meat, milk, eggs,
Oh,
everything's going to
absolutely.
go up.
Transportation, everything. I mean, it's, yeah.
It's critical. Very critical.
I guess I would agree with Penny if there's, you know, pass this on with the statements that were made, and maybe the state.
I mean, maybe you could just request a hold on it until the EPA is done, just see what they say.
Or here you can either recommendation to approve or disapprove the application.
Any other comments from the public? Anyone?
That's our 2 choices, either approve or disapprove. In the past, we've never done either. All we've done is pass it on with no negative comments.
close it?
Well, pass it on with negative comments, that's fine.
You can.
Sure.
I think that's what we should do.
Okay, we close the public hearing at this time, 8:51. We're down to item number 5 is action on the proposed confinement building for Anderson Finisher Farm.
We make a motion
You
to
made a
pass it
motion.
on with the comments made by Ms. Penny Morris
Betty McCarthy?
and Betty McCarthy. In some ways, I'm glad they don't give that responsibility to us.
Well,
You know, you have,
it's kind of after the fact now, you know, it's to the point where you don't want it.
they're probably digging the hole as we speak. You know.
Right.
Well, they were, weren't they? You were out there looking at it, weren't you?
Well, it's just cornfield.
Oh, just cornfield.
Hmm.
I thought Bob went out the one more time, there was already a hole in the ground or something.
Already started. I think that was more for a well placement though, on that one.
So basically, the Board of Supervisors are not making a comment, we're just passing along the second.
Could I just ask a question? This Anderson, but it's Jim Koenig's that's building it on, and Anderson is the finisher, right? Said Anderson Finisher Farm. When you mentioned James Koenig's was,
What is that?
Where's Jenkins anyway? That's. up
It's
that
just off the
Off of
Riceville,
Riceville.
south, yeah. It's just-
Well, this was on the McIntyre Blacktop, south of McIntyre,
Sure.
about 2 miles north of the Little Cedar Corner, and then about a half a mile on the gravel road. I think it was on 440th Street,
Going east?
going east, yeah.
Yeah, I see that Jim Koenig's has 160 acres there, so. Now he's got one on each side of the road, he's got 320 acres, 160 on each side of the road, so that's probably where it is. Why it's called Anderson, I don't know.
Well, they all give them a name.
Any name but their own.
Some use their own name, but when you have multiple ones, they're all by something else.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to submit the negative comments to the state. Roll call vote, both lines.
Aye.
Block,
Aye.
Morel, aye, motion carried. I see our county engineer is here, so we can move up to item number 6. Richard, good morning.
Morning. Lindsay's here. We've got some things on weight limits and restrictions on trucks. I figured maybe we could discuss that right away and then we can get up with the update.
Okay.
I'll let you start. You guys are the ones that kind of have the, there's a little background history. They've got 3 dump trucks with 7 combined axles. One of them's a tag axle. There's 5 underneath the box and then a steering axle. And when trucks are loaded and hauling, there's certain tables by code that we use that allow them to haul certain tonnages of weight. There's a primary road and a non-primary road, which is what the counties have. And the tonnages are different. The axle configurations are somewhat the same, it's just that on non-primary roads, they don't allow a certain number of axles in certain configurations. So maybe you can explain it a little bit better than me. You guys, you can give the history on what happened with you guys, and then we can kind of go from there. And kind
Yeah,
of,
I don't know how much information you guys want. Today, we've been talking about this for the last week or so, but what started out, the first thing that happened was one of our trucks got pulled over. It doesn't have the strong arm in the back. That's like what these ready-mix trucks have. It lets you have a longer wheelbase. But we've also got some trucks that have 2-cheater axles, 72. And it got pulled over by a DOT guy on a county road. And he said that we couldn't haul that much weight because we're on a non-primary highway system. You guys can look at these and study them and whatever you want to do if you want it or not. But so we thought there was 2 of our trucks that were affected, and basically instead of being all 20 or 19 ton, going all 17 and a half. So we were kind of concerned about it, talked to Rich about it, and we'd always, it's probably been a half dozen years ago, I guess, I think it was shortly before you came on as assistant, that we'd asked Jim Hyde about it when we first started really looking at these tables, and I had thought he'd given us a letter he had, but he just said the county's okay with using the primary roads as long as you obey all the bridge postings and all that stuff. So we hadn't thought about it much. Well, then this came up, and then last week the real issue came when he pulled over one of these super dumps that has 7 axles, and I don't know why we'd never seen it before, but technically there's no, until you get to 41 feet, there's no, there's just nothing for 7 axles.
No allowable weight on
Yeah,
non-primary.
it's just not even listed. And so Brian's been talking quite a bit with the DOT. It was a pretty hefty fine, of course, but he was trying to tell us we can only go 60,000 pounds. We think we can go 72,000 pounds. That's between us and the DOT. What I've been asking Rich is there any sort of way to get the primary, use the primary table instead of the non-primary? Rich has some concerns. We got to look at some bridges and stuff too, but it's a pretty big issue. We've been talking to other producers in the state to see if they've had issues, and some of them don't want to talk about it because they're just going to keep doing what they've been doing and pretend they didn't know anything different. But
And what I've sent out a broadcast email to all the other county engineers to see what they've done. Now that a few years back, I think it was early on when I was here too, they had this mill haulers with all those axles underneath, and there was some sort of exemption for raw product and things like that. So it's almost the same type setup without having that rear tag. However, they're a raw product. They've got a special exemption versus quarries that don't, and I'm not sure if there's anything in the code that allows the county to deviate from this chart or not. I haven't gotten that far yet, but other engineers have said they just go by a blanket, this is what the tables are, this is what you have. Now I think there's also confusion by how the DOT counts the axles and groups the axles that makes it a little different. One other issue is, and I haven't confirmed this yet, I've got to talk to our association's kind of legislative head that his comment was to somebody else at one time, and I think this is true, the DOT, when they get their bridges inspected, they've got a higher standard of inspection as far as heavier loads. You know, we've got bridges in the county that aren't posted, so they're for legal loads. But we get them posted for S3S trucks, and there's 3 different trucks. You have the tandem axle, the semi, and the semi with a pump. Now I think the DOT, when they get theirs evaluated, they go for a bunch of different kind of axle configurations where we don't. And it's my understanding that this table is based on just those standard axles and not all these other, I mean, there's so many trucks out there, I don't think there's too many, other than the county and a few other guys, that have standard axles anymore. Everybody's got more axles so they can haul more loads. But what I need to confirm is, why is the non-primary highway system different than the primary system? And I think part of it has to do with the way our bridges are evaluated for loads. You know, they've got a truck that on the primary system can take 80,000 pounds. On the non-primary system, you can't. Why is that? Well, is it because they've got their bridges in the primary system rated for that kind of tonnage? You know, you've got a truck that's 35 feet long, carrying 80,000 pounds, versus a semi that's 50-some feet long, and it's all distributed on axles. So those are some things we've got to look at. Plus, you know, does the code allow us to deviate from that chart? So they're bringing the issue up. So I think it's going to happen more as our truck axle configurations change, because people are trying to be more efficient with hauling loads. If it is a bridge situation, maybe there's a way that we can work with, I don't know for sure, but maybe there's a way to say, okay, well, you know, Dino Quarry, you can get to a state highway, a primary road, without crossing any bridges. Is that an issue? Most of the quarries, you can probably get out of the quarry to a primary road without crossing any bridges. but it's a matter of, they were told by the DOT officer that as they got a letter from the county, they'd be okay. Well, can we actually issue a letter legally and say it's okay? So, that's where we're at.
Well, state roads are probably constructed a little different than the county roads too, I would imagine.
They're a little bit, I mean,
Especially the asphalt that
Right.
has been put
You
down
know-
in years going by, we see some of that falling apart.
and the example I use is I know Howard County and other counties have seal coat roads. Those seal coat roads aren't gonna hold up to those kind of loads.
Right.
And that's probably why the table is that way, but there are some county roads that are probably able to take those kind of loads. You know, Dino
Right.
Quarry's been hard, that Lancer Avenue by Dino Quarry's been hauled on for years with loads that are, you know, millions of tons of, I shouldn't say millions of tons, maybe millions of tons of rock in the lifetime of that road. And so, but it's, I think it's all based on the confinement of that tonnage in a smaller area that's being spanned out. So I guess to let you guys know what's going on, is we're gonna look into this and see if there is anything we can do. I mean, from their standpoint, if there's, you know, if they can't haul them on secondary roads, they're kind of a worthless truck for them. And I guess they purchased them not knowing there was an issue.
Well, the other thing that the DOT guys told us is that getting a permit, and then they called back and said, well, it'd be a lot easier if you just have the, you know, county do this, is where I bring it up. Not that different than what you guys were talking about before, because there's the law, then there's the enforcement. And, you know, the weird thing, and I think it must be bridges too after we talked yesterday, because there is a table 2 is for livestock and construction vehicles. And I think you guys remember a few years ago when they were hauling from the sand pit over the landfill, and that outfit had those trucks that were hauling 96,000 ton, which they can legally haul on non-primary roads, if you're long enough. So it's gotta be something that they're worried about, not the weight per axle, it's the
Confined weight
confined
in a
into
small area.
into one spot. Because of 96,000 pounds on 7 axles, that's, you know, that's 8 ton more than what we're hauling on these, but it's spread out over almost twice the distance. So to me, that proves kind of what you were thinking, is that it's more of the bridges that they're worried about. But
I mean, those same forces are on the road surface, it's true, but they're not, I need to try not to minimize it, they're not a catastrophic event. You know, if you overload a road, yeah, it could deteriorate pretty fast, and I'm not saying that's a good thing, but if you look at a structure versus the road,
right.
if somebody were to be overweight unintentionally, you could unintentionally take a bridge down a lot faster than you could screw up a road, but.
And we saw that with the garbage truck.
Right, I mean, it's the structural stuff I think I'm more concerned about when they put these tables together.
And we got a better bridge on it.
They're just lucky nobody got hurt.
So,
Seriously.
I'll- I don't know if you guys have ever had this before or not, but it seems every year something new comes up with weights and axles and.
What are you asking?
Well, I'm just letting you know
Gotta
that
continue
we're
working
gonna
into the
continue to
bridge
work on this a
thing.
little bit and
Yeah.
see if there is anything that we as a county can do. I know that, you know, I wanna work with them, but I don't know that there's, whether we can actually change things or not, but I just wanna let you guys know what's going on.
Can communicate with DOT and find out if it is a bridge situation.
Well, I've got some more phone calls to make on the, county engineer side, 'cause I know, like I said, there's counties out there that say, no, just stick to the table and that's it. I guess now we're kind of after the fact.
Would it be something that, just for now, if we could get, I don't know if it's maybe something that we could ask for you to talk to the DOT and just see if, until we do investigate more, until you guys can look at it more, if we could just at least get down to 9 and 218 out of the Dino quarry?
I think that's something we can, to get out of the Dino quarry, you can,
Are they camped out up there?
Oh, he's been around,
I
but
think,
we just wanna do it right. I mean, you know, it's 2 miles to get down to 9, but if, once we get to 9, then we can be on, well, no, we can't. Because 105 isn't state. But if we could get 218, that would help. And then you know, Monday if we can talk to get to 65.
Yeah, that one's,
That's pretty short, but the funny thing is that he's actually pulled the same truck over, and the first time said, "Well, I don't know for sure."
that's the thing, they don't know for sure either.
Well, tell them to go find out and get back.
But we found out.
Oh, they found out.
Yeah.
But they're on the side of caution,
Yeah. Yeah.
so.
And it's even weird, like, because right now, we thought we only was 60,000 ton. Then we looked at it and actually running 7 axles, you can only go 60,000 ton. If we lift 1 axle in the truck, we can go 72,000 ton.
Tell me how that works.
Yeah.
Pounds, pounds, not tons.
Pounds, yeah, pounds. Yeah, yeah.
Hey, you take 1 axle weight and you can haul more.
But you're over longer
It's all
space.
based off of wheelbase.
Yeah.
Because they can put
Strong
their,
arm
you
down,
can put your tag
gain-
axle down, lift one of the
gain
front
weight.
ones up, and then you've got a longer span.
Yeah. So,
Makes no sense.
It's confusing, so I just wanted to give you a heads up
Yeah,
on
well,
what's going on.
Let us know when they figure it out.
I guess I'm surprised that the Blue Boys are out on the secondary road system.
You know, I think with more bridges being posted and things like that.
I mean,
think
we've
they're-
complained for how long we felt that some of these loads going to the ethanol plant were questionable. I mean, different ethanol plants, and, you know, we couldn't get them to look at even,
I think they found another funding source, the secondary roads. I mean,
Well-
most people on the primary system are gonna mostly obey it, and then they get on, because I know in Worth County, they've got habits of, they'll get off the interstate to bypass the scales and take the county road. And there's been quite a few of them been nailed.
You go over the eastern side of the county and you can see them. The grain trucks come down Addison or they come down Walnut, come over on 360th and down to Floyd going that way, but they all come back to 18 North and turn 4 Mile Corner and head east. But you rarely see a truck coming from the east.
and there's been a lot of, this permitting thing was what we first started talking about. He was running around and people call the DOT and think they're all permitted, but they don't have a county permit. So the DOT guys get them for not having the county permit, which, you know, they needed to have it, but the DOT is telling them they got everything they need, which they do on a state road, but yeah, there's been a lot of secondary roads.
Fun times.
Yeah.
Well, keep us posted.
We'll let you know what's going on with it and try to work what we can. Like I told Lindsay, I said, I can't guarantee that we'll be able to do anything, but I guess it deserves some looking into.
Yep.
All right. Anyway, on to other things. The DOT is coming to visit me today on, way back when I mentioned you guys that the DOT contacted all the counties and wanted to know if there were some efficiencies that counties and state could share as far as maintenance of roads. I told them I would sit down and listen to what they had to say, and this was talking about our snow routes such that we could probably plow a state route on the way out to our county route, vice versa, things like that, which I doubt there's gonna be state trucks plowing county routes, because I don't think they take county roads to get to their state roads, but we're opening up the idea of, are there efficiencies in, is there equipment that we can share between state and county? Can they hire the county to plow or do things for them? Which, we're skinny enough as it is, I don't know. But I guess we're gonna sit down and actually talk about what, if any, there are for possibilities of sharing and being more efficient with county and state work.
I've
You know,
always
they've-
said that. They're gonna give all those roads back to the counties.
Well, you know, they've got equipment that sometimes would be nice for us to be able to use on occasion. You know, they've got that, you know, they came through and did 218 and they do that sand seal on their cracks. I wish we had the equipment to do that. We could do a lot of that, but we don't have the equipment, and then you gotta hire it out. Well, if there's a way they can let us use the equipment and maybe we help a day or two and we help them shoulder their roads or something, you know, or we help blade or do, you know, are there efficiencies there that we can share and help each other out?
I think it's a good idea.
So they're coming today and kind of doing a quick sit down and find out what the issues are, what is, if anything, we can do to cooperate. So they'll be coming in today. Our rock run, we're still running on a Wagner quarry today and possibly tomorrow. And if we get done on a Wagner, we'll head over to Lush, is it Lush south of town there, and start doing that in Lush. Was a good one. And then after the Lush quarry, we'll go down to Staff and start working out of there. So we're better than half done on the rock run, so we're getting it knocked down. Got 2 mowers running, and then we're still doing, while they're waiting for me to get the pipe and stuff ordered for that bridge, they're gonna continue to shoulder there on that McIntyre Stacyville Road. So, what I want to talk to you about is the approval of hiring Merlin Hageland as our road foreman, or changing his position status to foreman, and then Brian will go back down to maintenance operator. I've worked things out with Merlin. If you guys are okay with the transition, I'm okay with it.
That's the only application you had.
He was the only one that had any interest in the position, and I think that, you know, maybe he's had less years with the county. He's still had a lot of experience in construction, and maybe that's beneficial to be here a short amount of time to be able to lead. What we've offered is an annual salary of $46,500, which is right around the average for District 2 counties. It's not the lowest, and it's certainly not the highest, so he's right kind of in the middle there. He's agreed to it that we would do a 6-month salary review and then a 1-year salary review to kind of see where we're at dollar-wise, and then we'll move on. If we've got this approved, I told him the beginning date would be July 30th. Is that 30th? That's not right, is it? Monday, yeah, July 30th. I didn't want the July 30th, I meant
Well, I have no problem with
23rd.
it. I think he's had quite a bit of construction experience prior to working for the county.
I want to change that to the 23rd, that should be the 23rd is next week, right?
Right. Next month.
Yeah, that's what I wanted it to be. Any objections or anything like that?
I think it's a good
I
idea.
mean, can't be any more than wrong, you know. I mean, give it a shot, and if it doesn't work out,
He'll let you know.
Yeah,
yeah, I think he's a good candidate.
Brian agreed to, help out with some things that you don't always deal with every day, so.
Sure.
There's plenty of guys that have experience that are more than willing to give their opinion, so.
Why is that?
Everybody's got one.
And then also on this request, I've got the change from Brian back down.
Okay.
Thank you. If you guys are okay with that, we'll get it going and we'll keep moving on to secondary roads.
Consensus of the board is enough for that, I think.
Well, I'd make a motion.
Okay.
I think we should do it by motion.
Want a motion?
I think you should.
We have to approve all hires, and so I'd make a motion that.
Well, he's already working for the county.
He's just
Yeah,
changing
but-
his status.
Changing
but
his status.
Status
You guys
change.
can,
Status change, let's do it.
however you want to agree
Okay.
on it, I mean, that's.
Talking money.
Okay. That was your motion, Bill?
Yes, it is.
Second.
Seconds. We have a motion and a second to approve the status change of Merlin Hageland to road foreman. Roll call vote, Volklander?
Aye.
Watt?
Aye.
Brown, aye. Motion carried.
We got 3 blades running on gravels, and then we got our summer help doing some sign straightening and everything else, kind of get things even back up. We are down a couple guys, so getting them, trying to get applications in to get hired, so we are short-staffed for the time being, so we're doing what we can to keep up.
Getting a lot of applications.
Yeah. Yep.
How many you got?
I didn't count, but I know I've got at least 50. We've got another week. This week and next week. I know there's a lot of them out that haven't come back too, plus it's on the internet.
Which form are you using?
Hmm?
Which form are you using?
Just our standard form. Why, you got something different?
No, we,
Are you thinking about changing it, or?
no, we changed it about 6 months ago. I just want,
Oh.
I was curious as to
we
which
got
one they're using.
The one
6
we've always
page?
been using. 6-page, no, it's 2. What, I haven't seen a new one.
Oh, baloney. Audie's gotta quit hiding stuff from me. It's the one that's, we talked about, approved, I don't know how many months ago, to go to. That's been looked over by, Carl. Young,
You know what?
so we don't get in trouble asking the wrong questions.
Ours is very
2
similar,
pages.
but it's got a lot of the stuff on it.
Well, maybe it's the same one then.
It's not the same, it's a 2-sheet form, but it's got a lot of these questions on it. We can start using this. I didn't know we had one.
That's the one we use here at the courthouse in New York. Ball. That's Fitchie County application for appointment.
We can change it.
Any extra ones there? You can send out links.
I'll go upstairs and get some. Yep. That's all I've got for you this morning.
Nothing new on the bridge on Rampart, still working on numbers.
Timber?
Timber, I mean, excuse me.
Yeah, we're getting the plans worked up on that, so we're good.
Think we can go with the pipe?
Triple hit. Can do
Are you
triple.
okay if I said we can go with the pipe?
What's that?
Is it definite that we're going with the pipe?
Yes, we're going with 3 pipe on that one.
Okay, think it'll be in this fall yet?
That's the goal.
Okay.
When we get the plans done, the guys will know what we need to do. We just gotta, I wanna see if I can get a couple, I wanna see if I can get 3 a little bit bigger than what I designed for. If I can't, then we're good with what we have, but sometimes bigger is always a little bit better. I don't know if we can find any more that we're, 3 9-foot 3 diameter pipe, 9-foot 3-inch diameter pipe is what's designed. And that's for a 100-year flood. We don't have to design that high, but we have been doing 50 and 100-year floods for low volume roads, so. But if I can get 9.5-foot diameter, then I'll get 9.5-foot diameter pipe. Just a little bit more volume.
Do you have any plans on getting the natural gas hooked up out at?
Yes, I just haven't called for, I think we're just gonna have the plumbers come out and do it, I just haven't called them yet. But I wanna have that hooked up before winter.
We need a tank.
Yeah, we need the tanks.
You can have ours right now, you can have the one from the county, from the office right now, we're not using natural gas, or we're not using LP right now.
We need heat and water.
Electric, we just got a
Oh,
little bitty
Okay.
5-gallon water heater, whatever we got.
Okay.
What's the
So
shop?
who should
Use
we
the other
have
one?
then, one of the plumbers again, actually move that and hook it, or?
Well, doesn't, like Johnson or K&H, don't they do that? They move the tanks and hook them up themselves?
We can.
I thought they did, or pull up the elevator.
Okay.
Have that.
We'll
That
get
was
all
all
out.
I think.
I don't know.
Well,
Did you talk
maybe-
to Johnson? I talked to him one time and they said that.
Okay,
They go out.
We don't use gas in the summertime in the office.
The
well,
shop
we
use
probably
gas.
better have Johnson because we got some fill-ups that we're gonna have for,
Yeah. I'm trying to think if the shop has a gas water heater in it or not.
We just need one basically.
You can take that one.
Okay.
We aren't using it.
And then we thought about doing a pad to put all 3 tanks on and then that.
Probably be a good idea.
Yeah.
Takes care of mowing and
Well,
weed problems.
it kind of sits down in the
Yeah,
swale there and
you could put it right next to that big one then.
probably have to for now.
well, make sure though that however we locate it, that they can move that big one once.
Yeah, you don't want to have to move the tanks twice.
Maybe we need a new spot for the tank.
And remember the generator's hooked up to that too.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll stop on and talk to him about it.
Okay, you're gonna
Yeah.
take care of it.
Yep, and I'll get all that SK construction, and we decide on the size of the pad,
Where's Peg Vider, LP?
wherever we tell her to.
I thought they already booked it.
Johnson. Jim, I don't know if she booked it.
What's that?
I thought she got it from the co-op.
No, she was getting, K&H.
She was getting, whoever can get bulk out there because they can get a truck. You know, the question was ours is more expensive. Well, it's because they can get a semi-load and we can't.
Right.
So they can get it a lot cheaper in that bulk.
But with 3 tanks, it
But
would.
now they won't be able to, right?
But on the other hand, now they can call around, because I know the elevator's doing summer fills for like 99 cents.
Yeah,
Really?
just got mine filled up.
Mine for $1.16. Like, still ain't bad compared to last year.
Well, yeah, that's made up to $2 and something. Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah.
You know, does a weed commissioner have a standard letter to send to private individuals?
We'll have to find out. I think we always did in the past. I don't know if he had that drafted or if we printed it out and he signed it.
Yeah.
I'll see if we got it.
I'll probably stop out after.
Okay.
Are we having quite a few claims on,
We've had a couple call in about wilted beans, and I don't know why it's doing what it's doing. I know, I talked to the weed commissioner, he said there is a little bit of 2,4-D in the stuff he's using, so I gotta assume that that's causing some of the problem, but I don't know if the temperatures are causing it to volatilize and drift more, or what.
Yeah, I think it's a temperature.
What's the rest of the field look like?
Fine. I mean, good. It's about 15 rows in. You can see that they're not brown; they're just curled. Like I always wonder if yeah, they're curled, but if a guy could get some rain, if they'd come out of it. Of course, like with any of the crops now, if we could get any rain, they'd come out of anything. But I haven't had that many calls. I don't think we've had any in the office, but I know that.
I had one as well.
And then we had, we've had 2 people, I think, 2 or 3 tell us that there's been issues. I mean, between what you've given me, Bob, and what we've had people stop out, so.
I've been out and about and I see quite a few little purple flowers that now turned white in certain areas.
Yeah, and I think
private
that's just-
property, and it's just
And
too much territory for one guy, and we got, what, a 2 week.
we got a late start on it
start.
too. By the time they were going, they didn't die fast enough to keep from seed. We did try to mow down here south of.
Now, these are mostly on private property, so.
There's still some in the ditches and we're trying to get them, but I don't think we're gonna get everything. But
Too much area for one guy.
like I said, we went down and mowed south town here on the way to Orchard and got what we could there.
Yeah, that
last
looks good,
week.
that looks good.
They're already seeded, so I don't know, you know. I guess
Just
you
looks
gotta get
good.
'em early. Yeah, it looks
I
better
don't hear
when they're
anything,
gone.
it just looks good.
Right, so.
Okay, thanks, Rich.
Thank you.
Something else
Yep, thank
for Rich?
Kevin's here?
Yep, we'll drop down to item D under items of note, hospital CEO. We have a new CEO in our presence this morning. Come on up. Come on here. Come on up.
Is that all right?
Morning, Kevin.
I'm Kevin Brunelson. I was named the new CEO at the hospital. Yesterday was my official first day as without an interim title in front of my name. So I currently live over in Mason City. Put my house up for sale on Saturday, and when it sells, we'll move on over to the county somewhere. So we'll probably most likely here in Osage, just because it's closer to the hospital. But we'll see what's for sale when we get our house sold. That's what'll determine where we go. I have a wife and 3 kids, and I'm originally from near Salt Lake City, Utah. Went to school at the University of Iowa and have some friends and contacts here in Northern Iowa, and so that's what brings me here. I was over at Mercy for about 3 years until I came over. So happy to be here. I was able to come over and participate in the 4th of July activities and be involved in that with the community, and had a good time. Our family enjoyed that. Just give you a quick update on some things we have going on at the hospital. We are obviously in the middle of our construction project. Pretty exciting this week. They tore up all the concrete on the west side of the ambulance drive, and they're going to be relaying that at a not quite so steep grade, so the ambulances can get up that a little better. And we should have all that rough work done and open that drive back up. I think the 18th, I think is what Jerry told me. So coming up pretty quick, yeah, pretty quick, and be able to start using the drive again and open that west side. Don't quote me on the dates. That should be coming pretty quick, and then we're doing some other work, and then we'll switch over and start working on the same-day surgery area. We're still about 8 or 9 months out on having the project completed, but doing well there. We'll have some recruitment going on with our position, which is good. We need a few more providers. Have a gentleman come in tomorrow, and then working to get another one in the next 3 to 4 weeks. So that's just a brief overview of what's going on, but I'm happy to be here and look forward to working with you. I'll try and come periodically and let you know how we're doing and what's going on, if that's okay.
That's wonderful. We'd like to hear that.
All right, great. Well, thanks for letting
Okay,
me
thanks for
take a
coming in,
little time.
Kevin. Good to meet you.
Thank you.
Item 10, items of note here, so I go with the meetings attended.
My meetings are this week. What was last week? I haven't planned there for anything last week, yeah. Yeah, landfill. What did we do at the landfill? Not much, just approving claims. That was it. Talked a bit. Oh, we have a south of our leachate pond in a sub-drain. We've been getting a little high nickel content, and the DNR is thinking that possibly to keep a lookout on that and do nothing, but our engineer says that'll just cat and mouses forever. He thinks we need to put in a manhole that will, we're only talking maybe 150 gallons, and then run it back into our leachate pond and then evaporate it on the south. But he has to get the plans approved by the DNR before we go ahead and do that, so that was the big discussion that night. So, sounds like we'll go ahead and do it as soon as the engineer. Don't know whether we'll get done this year, but possibly next year. Something to do with quite a large number of casting that was, or sand or whatever was landfilled there previously. They think is maybe why it's moving that way. That was it. Oh, then just for FYI, Paul and I met up with FEH, two folks yesterday from architectural firm. They wanted to have the nickel tour, and so we gave them the dime tour.
County Conservation, met the new naturalist. Seems like she's full of energy, so we'll see how that goes.
Who's that?
Oh, God.
I had
That's
to
a name.
ask
I'm terrible with names.
That's all right.
She came
We'll find
from Butler County, or Bremer County, younger gal.
So what exactly does this naturalist do? I guess
Well, naturalist basically does a lot of work with school kids. They'll do some, some on education.
so Mary Jo's not going to continue with that?
Pardon?
Mary Jo's not going to continue with that?
Well, she resigned.
Well, I know she resigned, but I thought she had said something that she would continue to work with the kids, but maybe now that we got a new natural, she can probably
Not
do that.
through the counties. I mean, she would, the little bit I've talked to Mary Jo, apparently she is certified for basically getting your gun, the younger kids being able to get their
Trap shooting.
not only trap shooting, but hunting
Oh,
certificate, and some of those things she may want to do on her own. I think there's quite a conflict between Milt and her, so I don't see that there's going to be any cooperation there, to tell you the truth. But and they'll have some programs that are just really more of for interest as opposed for education. But they'll have quite a few programs that are actually educational that will try to explain to the kids why, just for instance, you shouldn't throw garbage out. What it could, stupid things like, that's a stupid kind of example, but this is the type of stuff that, and some of these people can really make it interesting to where, kids will pay attention and decide that these are good practices to go with, but that's a lot of what the naturalist work quite closely with the school systems, getting into the classrooms there. When I say summertime is more for recreation, I believe, and appreciating the land, what we have. So,
Mary Jo did look quite a bit, I just was curious if that.
that was pretty much the main thing at the county oh, the other thing brought up at, here a couple of months ago at a county conservation board meeting is Snowmobile Group, statewide organization, would like to be able to have their summer state meeting up here, but they're trying to work with county conservation on, like, at the Stacyville Park, not at Bratwurst weekend, but another weekend. Could they reserve all of the camp spots if they paid for them in advance? And I don't know if the board's going to allow it or not. I think the board ought to, if they're willing on a Saturday, Friday and a Saturday to pay for every spot. Why, it brings people from other parts of the state up here. It's a tourist thing that we've been trying to promote.
How is the camping going this year?
They did not give a report, and I did not ask.
I just happened to notice that the Cedar River one out there, there's not too many usually in there. And I was just wondering, is it because of the heat that people are coming next to this? And
Yeah, there aren't a lot of trees there. I mean,
I know.
Part of it, I think, was the 4th of July was in the middle of the week, and I think they'd camped on, in between, and, or, I mean, on the weekend before and not during the 4th, but, yeah, you're right, I think it is the heat. It's,
You don't have a lot of trees, then your air conditioner's running, and who wants to sit out when it's 95 degrees and with a fire going? Yeah, mosquitoes too.
T21, that was last Wednesday afternoon. We just had some housekeeping chores is about what it boiled down to on making some adjustments. Nobody seems to know yet where we're at with federal funding. The feds have not come up with a transportation bill, so that's kind of in the lurch. On Friday was really one of the more interesting meetings, and that was with Brenda and I went over to Riceville, and we met with Dean Rundy and talked about windmills and transmission lines and so on. And apparently last year when they upgraded the line from Boland to Adams, there is enough new space on the grid that this windmill farm that they had proposed to be building right now in 2012 could be built. And MISO is the one that controls who gets on the grid. They have given the okay that if this gets built, there's going to be space for them on the grid and that. The problem is basically with the federal government on giving tax credits. That expires at the end of the year. Nobody wants to start building wind farms right now, not knowing where the tax credit is. Although there is a outfit they set out of Kentucky that may have to buy power regardless, so they're hoping to sign a contract, and if that would be the case, they would be building this wind farm then shortly.
So this one up here, is that Vestas, wind or Vestas or not?
That was, to begin with, that was Zilka, and I don't know what, they've changed their name a couple times since then.
I think it was like 3 initials, A something.
But, so no, that was a very interesting meeting, and there's supposed to be some more updates on what's happening. Dean would like us involved to try to contact our U.S. congressional district on these tax credits. And so, apparently they're going to be doing some updates maybe later this week even, and I might have to run up to Leroy to be in part of that. So
I see that there's a lot of equipment on the laydown area over north of Manly. And it's loaded with pipe and blades and everything over there. I don't know where it's going. Is there one going over in Franklin County now, or?
I'm thinking so, but I don't know if that's
Maybe
where.
that's where they're going, but that laydown area.
Mid-America's building one there this year.
Pardon?
Mid-America, wasn't they building up
I
there?
was thinking of it.
No, that sounds promising, doesn't it?
Well, when you're speaking about Manly, apparently they're starting Manly Terminal, building their couple-mile loop, rail loop, and that's gonna be an industrial park to the north. If they get half of that, I think, built this year, and then half next year, and so that'll be interesting.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Last Tuesday evening, I had the FMC Early Childhood Iowa Area meeting at Floyd County Courthouse. We reviewed the state letter regarding our level of excellent results, and we received a compliant rating effective July 1st. Went over the fiscal agent agreement. Floyd County is our fiscal agent. Gloria Carr, auditor down there, works with us. We went over a couple of the budgets, school-ready budget and early childhood budget. They were both approved for the next year. Preschool scholarship rates will stay the same. We reviewed the executive director performance and Lori has decided we haven't given her a raise in 4 years, and we tried to this year, but there's no funding for it, so she said rather than cut programs, she's going to keep her wages the same 4th year in a row rather than cut any of the other programs. Federal funding is at $57,000 and state funding's a little over $373,000, but it's still not enough. They cut in the last couple of years over 10%. There's no Mitchell County, there's no Head Start in Mitchell County anymore because they can't find a place to have it. There's so many regulations, you can't have steps, you've got to have a playground and all of that stuff. So there will be no Head Start in Mitchell County. Last Wednesday, I had the North Central Regional Emergency Response Planning District Committee and Commission meeting. Kathy Lee, a Senior Environmental Specialist from Iowa DNR, Emergency Response Division was there, and she gave us a good PowerPoint on various things that they handle in their spill reporting and things like that. Also dealt with the financials and that was about it on that. So something else I was going to say. Oh, I probably should ask Rick. You know, we had that accident over on the county line, and there was a question of which emergency management team is on the Howard County side of the road. And I said, whoever gets a call should respond. I mean, it shouldn't.
Right.
And then Ray was saying, well, the road is under Mitchell County jurisdiction, but that shouldn't have any effect on the emergency management. That road, that's a road agreement, not a. And Miss Kathy Lee said something about a 2080. And I don't think we're going to go there. But, anyway, it's a question.
In emergency, who's going to read the 2080?
Stand over there on that road and dial 911 and see who the hell answers.
Yeah.
I guess that's the people who should be responding.
Yeah, that's what we said. You know, who gets a call, get over there. Those are my 2 minutes. Last week. Okay, fiscal year 2012 Mitchell County Ag Society report.
$198,000 and no audit. How does that
I know, they're supposed to be having one.
I guess if they don't do another audit, I would say we've already paid them $17,500 of the $35,000 that they wanted from the county. I guess I would say we just withhold the other $17,500 until the audit is done. Because economic development at $102,000 one year in income, and they end up having to do the $4,000 audit. So that's my thinking anyway.
Well, but are they really a government agency?
They're a member of the 2080, and I think that's what the board said, what Chapter 11 talks about. If you're a 2080,
Well, 28E, you mean for the CRC?
well, every member of it. I mean, all the cities who are a member of the Mitchell County Economic Development, which is also a 2080, the county does an audit, the cities all do an audit.
The
And now
CRC was doing an audit here a week or so ago.
Right.
Had a new one done.
So how do you get out of doing an audit then? I don't know. I guess I asked that question a number of times, and even asked Vernon Rushing, and nobody can give you a straight answer.
Well, I mean, truthfully, I guess I wouldn't, you know, enforcement is not up to us. I guess I wouldn't worry about it. If they get caught in something and they get fined and that's their problem, not ours.
Well, that's true too.
They'll come to us asking for money to pay the fine.
No.
Well, this 35,000 too, I think we should have re-looked at that too, because when we were first on the board, it was $20,000. Then it showed up and they wanted help with doing painting. Well, we said, okay, well, we can probably help you with the painting. And then it was the next year, well, can you help us with the bleachers? And we did that also. And now suddenly that $35,000 stuck.
Well, they do come every year though and ask for and they go through it.
Yep, and the last time they said they needed some money to help with the horse barn. Well, last year I was at the fair, there was nothing done to the horse barn. The horse barn stands the same way that it always did. So what are we doing?
Well, I don't disagree. I mean, when they come, you know, in December,
I think we need.
that'll be a time to.
Because the state only gives them $10,000.
Pardon?
The state only gives them $10,000. And don't get me wrong, they've done a nice job down there. I mean, the fair, you go down through there and the fair looks, you know, there's quite a few.
Well, a lot of volunteer help. I mean, I'm amazed how much volunteer help they
It's
actually
amazing,
get.
there is a ton of volunteer help out there.
I mean, that really stretches their dollars.
Oh, you bet, yeah, especially from the electricians and plumbers, and they donate a lot. Not just.
But budget time, I mean, that's the time. I don't disagree. I mean, they always.
Okay, next item is item C, status change. Marcia's home care aide 3 is changing from part-time 10 to part-time 15. So noted. Item E, cans for conservation. Stan?
Yeah, I got a nice little check here for this last year of $1,146.90 that Lowell can turn over to conservation.
What was it, 1,000?
$1,146.90. That's
Yeah,
a lot of dirty cans to be picked through, sorted.
I just drop mine off when I go to the recycling center there, just one stop.
But you'd be amazed up at St. Ansgar, the crap that gets thrown in that bin. And
I go out behind the store, grocery store.
I always end up getting almost a whole bag full of water bottles. Yesterday, when I was up there, there was a bean can with a lid to where if you wouldn't have been careful, you'd have slipped your fingers on that, you know, tin.
People think it's a garbage dump or what?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I found a dirty diaper in there one day, and I mean, this is the kind of crap you go through, and people spit in some of that crap and corruption, but like I say, if they can use REAP money you know, that turns into $4,000 and some dollars for, which helps on land acquisition, which,
Thanks, good program.
Okay, then, item F, a letter in the paper.
and my understanding is there's gonna be a letter to the editor tomorrow concerning our board meeting last week, that we took an item off the agenda.
Yeah, we
And-
did, because it was in the April 3rd,
I guess my comment would be that maybe the chair might want to respond to the letter to the editor and explain why the action was taken what it was.
yeah, and the reason we did it is because in April, backing up to April 3rd, the minutes of April 3rd this year, there was consensus of the supervisors to have no further studies of the courthouse structure, but to move forward with sending out information for a new courthouse design. So there's no sense in rehashing it over and over again. I think we've been through this many times since January.
But since it's going to be a letter to the editor, maybe we ought to point out why we done the action we done.
Certainly,
That was my comment.
and that's why we done it.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan. Anything else for the good of the cause? I think we're down to the bottom of the list here.
I have nothing.
I'll be quiet.
We stand adjourned at 9:49.